Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I am so excited to share with you something new that we started this year for helping to prevent weeds in our raised vegetable garden. For the past few years, we've just been really struggling with weeds. Weeds has always been one of our biggest hurdles in gardening, just because we have really busy schedules and we want to grow lots of food, and just finding the time to get out here and pick all of the weeds, it just was never in our favor. So along the way, over the past few years, we've tried a couple different things to try to help solve this problem of always having so many weeds to pick. Some of the things that we have tried are using bark nuggets, plastic, which did work really good using the black plastic, but we at the same time hate using something like that. We all know how bad plastic is for our health and for the environment, and so while we used it, we always wish that we could figure out a better way. And the plastic is just not sustainable. It didn't hold up. We used it for 2 years. We probably could have maybe got one more year out of it. So we were just really trying to find a long-term solution, either buy it once and be done with it, or just something very sustainable that we wouldn't have to keep buying every year, every couple years. And so I'm very excited to share with you what we figured out for our garden. So far, it's been working absolutely amazing. It's blocking all of the weeds. It's doing exactly what we hoped to, and it's saved us so much time, and it was really easy to implement. So without further ado, come join me and I will share with you exactly what we have going on for our weed barrier this year. All right, and here we have it. This is one of the first beds that we did. You guys, this was so easy to implement. So what we have going on here are these are 2 by, I forget what the length was, planks of wood, untreated pine wood, just the regular normal stuff that you find at your big box store. That's literally all this is. And what we did was we added a bar of wood along the edge of the beds. So there's one going along this edge and then one going down along the other edge. And this wood is sitting up on top of it, so it's not sitting directly on the ground. And then we literally just added these. Okay, so these are green beans, and we just added them in between each row. And you guys, there's like no weeds. Okay, now hear me out. We do have some here, but that's it. And those, we don't even have to really worry about. The spine weed, I do go through and pick it when I see it. The thistle, when I have my gloves, I'll get to it. But this used to be, I'll see if I could try to find old pictures. But this is it's just mind-blowing how well this has been working. So those are the green beans. Here's our tomatoes. And all we did was cut a hole out of these ones using a hole saw. Just a drill and a hole saw bit to leave room for these. And that's it. Something else we did for the tomatoes is we actually drilled little holes for the tomato cages for them to sit down into, and it's working wonderful. One thing that I was worried about whenever we started to use this was, would there be enough airflow for the plant? I am happy to report, yes, we've not had a problem with airflow being an issue, and it's working so crazy good. It's crazy. All right, now I'm going to show you a bed that we did not put any kind of weed barrier down. This is where our cucumbers are living, and this is one of the only beds that we didn't get to put that down in. And once you see the difference, and then times this, we have 12 raised garden beds. So you can only imagine, here, I'll just show you. Here's what the cucumbers look like. Hello, cucumbers, are you there? Yes, there's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a sweet potato in the middle. And this is, honest to God, we didn't leave this like this for a video. This is just, we have such a hard time getting out here to spend the time to pull the weeds. And to do this times 12, it's just, we just can't get to it. Now hopefully these cucumbers, you know, I might come in here and, you know, do some of this. But that's, you know, I can't get rid of all this, and I'm not going to spray anything. So this is just the way it's going to be. And, you know, that if we have one good cucumber plant, that's enough for us for the year. So the fact that we have 4 going, if these weeds, you know, if they succumb at all a little bit to the weeds, it'll be okay, because we'll have probably still more than we know what to do with. And then, yeah, here's some tomatoes, and you can, you know, obviously see the difference. It's just night and day between these and then the ones that have the wood laying down on top. One crop that we didn't do that for is the onions. I will show you. There's so many that we have here. And actually the weeds didn't get too bad in here. I don't know if it's because the onions took off so well, and so it's really not giving weeds a chance. But we didn't do it for this bed, and I don't think we will. You know, we're going to try to get away without it in the future for this. Up here in the front, this is just kind of random. You know what? I planted carrots in here, and only a couple germinated. And so then this was my overflow for when I was thinning out green beans, and I couldn't stand to throw every single one away. So I put some of them down here, and then I threw some leaf lettuce in. But, you know, this bed, and then in the fall, I'll probably plant garlic down here. So this one, it'll just stay the way it is. And we'll probably continue that in the future. You know, the onion and garlic bed, we won't have the wood for. And the peppers. The only reason this doesn't have the wood laying down in it for the weed barrier is because I had already planted the peppers. And in a perfect world, I would have all of the planks of wood running out and all of the holes equally spaced, just to look nice aesthetically. I know that might sound silly, but that's just the kind of person I am. I like everything to be nice and even and look nice, and have everything, you know, evenly spaced, and we'll use it every single year. And so I didn't want to put the planks up and haphazardly make a bunch of holes and then always have to stick to that. So at the end of this year, you know, we'll go through and we'll evenly space out all of the holes for the peppers, because we always have a full bed of peppers and then some. And then, you know, we'll continue to use those year after year for the peppers. So we do have, you know, a little bit of weeds going on. This is normal. But, you know, if this is one of the only beds that we have to tend to this year, we can keep, you know, up with that, and it's just so much better. One of the only disadvantages that we've found with the wood, and I don't know if it's because of the wood, but I know that the wood is not helping us with this, is slugs. This has been the worst year for slugs for us, but we were already having a problem with slugs before we put the wood down. I feel like they've just been worse this year, and I know that that's not helping us. The slugs like to hang out underneath the wood, and I haven't had a chance yet to try to combat them. Everyone says to use saucers with some beer in it, and, you know, stick it down where the slugs can crawl in it and then crawl in the beer and meet their fate. But I just haven't had a time to do that yet. But the plants are getting big enough that I think they're going to be okay this year, and especially with this heat, I don't think slugs are going to be an issue for us moving forward. We had a really, and that could have been this could have been a problem too, was we had a really wet spring, lots of rain, and just a really wet and we had a really rainy and a really long spring. And so then that could have been why the slugs were so bad for us too this year. But like I said, I know that the wood doesn't help with that situation, but now we know moving forward to be better on top of that. You know, we'll be more proactive definitely next spring with implementing some things to try to keep the slugs out. Something you may be wondering is the wood treated that we use? And the answer is no, we did not use treated wood. Now, the wood that the beds are made out of is treated, and it is totally safe to use nowadays. It's treated with copper instead of, back in the day, they used to be treated with arsenic, and you definitely don't want that in your bed, so you got to be careful when using older wood. But nowadays, and this wood was purchased brand new, well, when we made the beds, it was purchased brand new, and it was totally safe to use, but still, I just really like the feeling of using something completely natural, untreated, just not a worry in the world. And so because this wood is sitting directly on top of the bed and the water is gonna, you know, go straight down to the roots, I just felt better about using untreated wood for that. Treated probably would have been a better idea, especially for the longevity of the wood, but I am curious to see how long the untreated will last us. I would imagine a number of years. It's totally okay if it's gonna warp and decompose and weather. It will in time, and I'm anxious to see how long it'll take. I imagine it should hopefully be at least a few years, and if it does last a few years, I'll be happy, but you know, we'll see. It's just wood, and you know, that's that's what it is. It's wood. One thing I do slightly regret, which kind of goes in hand with what I was saying about the peppers, I wish with the tomatoes we would have taken more time to properly space out their holes. We had already planted the tomatoes, and so the wood we used was a workaround, and they're just not equally spaced and spaced out as far as I would have liked for a more permanent solution. So definitely my advice would be, if you are going to do something like this, is to try to plan ahead and do it before you plant your plants and where you want to plant your plants. And if you're wondering where do you want to plant your plants, how far apart do you need to space them, a really good resource, which I will also link in the description, is a book. I believe it's called Square Foot Gardening, or that's the technique, but I'll link that. It was a book that I read when we first started with these raised beds, and it just kind of gives you the best advice for how far apart you want to space things and how to get the maximum real estate for each bed depending on each plant you use. I highly recommend that book, and like I said, I will link that in the description, but I would go based off of it and plan forward, make a plan before you actually implement it. But you know, the tomato plants will be fine. They're okay, spaced enough. I just, you know, if you, in a perfect world, but it's not, so it's okay. One more important thing to consider is the water source of your plants. Now, the wood is going to potentially prohibit water from getting down to the plant depending on how the wood is laying, and you know, if the wood's laying away from the plant, water is going to run off instead of straight down like it naturally would. So water source is definitely something very critically important to consider. With our situation, we have drip irrigation ran underneath the wood, so if we go some days without raining, we don't have to rely on natural water source. If something would happen where the drip system would be failing and we needed to get water to those plants, I would probably end up taking the planks off to make sure that they were getting the amount of water they need. I'm talking we lose our power, and you know, whatever goes on, might happen for the drip system to not work and not have that. That's something we would have to act pretty immediately on, is removing those to make sure that the plants are getting the water they need to continue to grow and thrive at the rate they need. So there you have it. I really hope this video was helpful. I know, like I said, this is going to be such a huge game changer for us, so I hope it helps you. If you did find any value in this, please feel free to give this video a like, a subscribe. We're just getting started on here and would love your support. Thank you again for watching. We really appreciate your time and hope you have the wonderful rest of your day. See you later.